Let me tell you about two people who wanted to learn English. The first one was brilliant. Sharp mind, fast learner, picked up new words in seconds, understood grammar rules the moment they were explained. Teachers loved her. Classmates admired her. Everyone called her a natural, the kind of person who seemed destined to speak fluently within months. She studied hard for 3 days. She bought the notebooks, downloaded the apps, wrote out a beautiful study schedule with colored pens. Then she got busy. Then she got tired. Then she told herself she'd start again next week, and next week became next month. She still believed, somewhere deep down, that her talent would carry her through whenever she decided to pick it back up. Then one day, months later, she looked up and realized time had quietly slipped past her. She opened her notebook and barely recognized her own handwriting. She still couldn't hold a real conversation, still froze when someone spoke to her too quickly, still translated every sentence in her head before she dared to say it out loud. The second person wasn't special, at least not in the way people usually mean that word. No natural gift for languages. He mixed up tenses constantly. He mispronounced simple words in front of strangers and felt his face go red with embarrassment. He forgot vocabulary the very next day, sometimes the very next hour. If you had watched him in his first few weeks, you might have quietly assumed he'd give up, the way so many people do. But he showed up. Every single day for just 15 minutes, he practiced. Rain or shine, good mood or bad, busy or free, motivated or utterly exhausted. 15 minutes without fail. Some days it felt like nothing was happening. Some days he wondered if he was wasting his time. But he kept going, quietly, without an audience, without applause, without anyone telling him he was impressive. A year later, guess who was speaking fluently? It wasn't the talented one. It was the one who never stopped showing up. Here's the truth nobody tells you when you first start learning a language. Talent gets you a fast start. It gives you an early advantage, a head start out of the gate, the kind of thing that looks impressive in the beginning. But consistency is what crosses the finish line. Talent is a spark, bright, exciting, impressive to watch. But a spark burns out quickly if nothing feeds it. Consistency is the fire that keeps burning long after that spark has faded into memory, long after the excitement of day one has worn off, long after the motivation that got you started has quietly disappeared. Think about it like this. Learning a language isn't a sprint you win with raw ability alone. It's more like watering a plant. Imagine pouring an enormous flood of water onto a seed today, feeling proud of yourself for doing so much at once, and then walking away for 2 weeks without looking back. What happens to that plant? It drowns, or it dries out, or it simply dies from neglect, despite that one big burst of effort. Now imagine instead a small, steady drop of water every single day, gentle and unremarkable, barely worth mentioning on any single day. That's what actually makes something grow. Not the flood, the drip. Not the burst of intensity, the rhythm. Your brain works exactly the same way when you're learning something as complex as a new language. Every time you practice English, even for just a few minutes, you're building a tiny neural pathway, a small groove carved into the way your mind processes words and sounds and grammar. Skip a day and that pathway weakens just a little, though you probably won't notice it right away. Skip a week and it weakens more. Skip a month and it fades almost completely, as if your brain quietly erased the progress you worked so hard to build. But show up daily, even briefly, even for a handful of minutes between other responsibilities, and those pathways grow stronger, faster, more automatic, until one day the words simply come, naturally, without you translating in your head first, without that awkward pause while you search for the right word. It becomes instinct instead of effort. That's not talent. That's repetition. That's discipline slowly, quietly turning into instinct. The way a muscle grows stronger, not from one heroic workout, but from showing up to the gym again and again, long after the initial excitement has faded into routine. And here's the part that should give you real hope, especially if you've ever compared yourself to someone who seems naturally gifted with languages. You don't need to be gifted. You don't need perfect grammar today. You don't need a large vocabulary right now. You don't need to sound impressive the first time you open your mouth. You just need to show up tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. That's the entire secret, as unglamorous as it sounds. There is no hidden trick, no shortcut that talented people know and the rest of us don't. There is only the quiet, unremarkable act of returning again and again, long after it stops feeling exciting. Because the people who master English, or any language, or any skill worth having, aren't always the smartest people in the room. They're not always the ones who impressed everyone on the first day. They are the ones who refused to quit when it got boring, when the progress felt invisible, when weeks went by without any obvious improvement. They are the ones who kept practicing when there was no applause, no test, no gold star, no one watching to congratulate them. They understood, whether they said it out loud or not, that mastery isn't built in one motivated Monday morning when everything feels possible. It's built in 1,000 ordinary days, most of which feel completely unremarkable while you're living through them. Think about the people you admire who speak English beautifully, confidently, effortlessly. I promise you, if you could see their entire journey, not just the polished result you see today, you would find hundreds of forgettable Tuesday afternoons. You would find moments of frustration, days they wanted to quit, weeks where they felt like they weren't improving at all. You would find them mispronouncing words in front of people, feeling embarrassed, and choosing to try again anyway. Fluency was never a lightning bolt that struck them all at once. It was built quietly, one small session at a time, by people who were willing to be unimpressive for a very long time before they became impressive. This is also why so many talented people quietly fall behind. Even though it seems like it shouldn't happen, talent creates a strange kind of trap. When something comes easily to you at first, you start to believe that ease should continue forever. So the moment it gets difficult, the moment progress slows down, the moment real effort is required, talented people often feel confused or discouraged, as if something has gone wrong. They expected this to stay easy. Meanwhile, the person who was never naturally gifted already expected difficulty from the very beginning. They were never relying on natural ease to carry them through. So when things got hard, it didn't shake their commitment. It simply confirmed what they already knew, that this was supposed to be hard and they were going to keep showing up anyway. So if you're sitting there right now thinking, I'm just not good at languages, or I've tried before and failed, or other people seem to pick this up so much faster than me, let that thought go. Set it down gently. You don't need to be good today. You don't even need to be good this month. You need to be consistent today, and tomorrow, and the day after that. That is the only requirement. That is the entire foundation everything else is built upon. Consistency doesn't ask you to be perfect. It doesn't ask you to feel motivated every single day. Because motivation, if we're honest, is unreliable and fickle. It comes and goes depending on your mood, your sleep, your stress, the weather outside your window. Consistency asks something much simpler and much more achievable. Just show up again. Even when you don't feel like it. Even when progress feels invisible. Even when you'd rather do anything else. Just 15 minutes, just one page, just one conversation, however clumsy it might feel in the moment. Talent might open the door. It might make that first step feel exciting, easy, full of promise. But consistency is what walks you through it, one small, unremarkable step at a time, day after day, until one day, seemingly out of nowhere, you look back and realize something has changed. You're reading without translating. You're speaking without rehearsing the sentence first in your head. You're fluent. Not because you were the most gifted person in the room. Not because you had some special advantage that others didn't. Not because learning ever became easy for you in some magical way. But because you never stopped showing up. Day after day, quietly, without needing anyone to notice, until the small, steady drops of effort became something no flood of talent could ever match.